We are witnessing a silent crisis, one that rarely makes headlines yet bleeds through every corner of modern life. It's not a war of bullets, but of identity. A quiet erosion of masculine energy, self-respect, and inner purpose. The modern man is collapsing, not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of direction. He is overstimulated, yet underdeveloped, surrounded by distractions, yet isolated from meaning. He seeks relief, not growth, comfort, not conquest. He masturbates not out of lust, but out of numbness. This video is not about condemning men. It's about revealing the hidden architecture of why so many feel lost, why drive becomes apathy, why relationships feel empty, why ambition dies in the cave of self-gratification, and why so many men today, regardless of age, still feel like boys on the inside. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist, didn't live in the age of Wi-Fi or OnlyFans. But his understanding of the human psyche is more relevant today than ever. He spoke of archetypes, shadows, and the soul's call to transformation. This isn't just psychology, it's a roadmap. And if you stay until the end, you'll see why masturbation, the man-child, and the divided masculine spirit are all symptoms of something deeper, and how that same inner conflict can become your awakening. This is not a motivational speech. This is a confrontation with your shadow, with your potential, with the man you were always meant to become. 1. The shadow. The repressed power within. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow is the cornerstone of his psychological philosophy. He believed that every person carries a hidden side within them, a part of the unconscious filled with everything we deny, repress, or disown. For men, this shadow often contains suppressed rage, lust, aggression, shame, and the deep longing for validation. Society tells men to be civilized, to control themselves, to follow rules. But when we repress too much, when we disown our primal instincts instead of integrating them, the shadow grows darker, stronger, hungrier. The shadow doesn't just sit silently in the background. It leaks. It manifests in compulsions, addictions, and sabotaging behavior. In the context of masturbation, many men think they're satisfying a simple need, but often they're obeying the shadow. That act of self-pleasure becomes an escape, a temporary numbing of pain or frustration. They're not responding to arousal, they're obeying an urge to avoid reality. Jung would call this a projection. The energy we haven't dealt with internally shows up externally in our behavior. So what does this mean for the modern man? It means that your addictions are not just habits, they are symbols, psychological messengers. When you feel that compulsive need to escape through pleasure, you're not just responding to boredom or stress. You're being pulled by the shadow, and until you become conscious of it, until you bring it into the light, it will rule your life. What you resist persists, Jung said. True power begins when a man stops fearing his shadow and starts dialoguing with it. That's when the transformation begins. 2. The man-child archetype. When comfort becomes a cage. The man-child is not just a psychological label. It is an archetype, a myth that plays out in real life. He is the man who physically matured but emotionally stagnated. He fears responsibility. He seeks pleasure without cost. He looks like an adult, but he avoids the pain that growth demands. And in Jungian terms, he is stuck in the realm of the puer aeternus, the eternal boy, the one who never truly leaves the metaphorical womb of the mother, and steps into the world as a sovereign man. The modern world makes it easy to stay a boy. Entertainment is instant, food is delivered, sex is simulated, pain is numbed. There are no rites of passage, no tribal tests, no clear call to manhood. And so many men stay stuck in prolonged adolescence. They chase dopamine over discipline, validation over vision. They want the rewards of manhood, money, respect, women, but not the sacrifices it demands. And when life challenges them, they retreat into their digital caves, where comfort disguises itself as safety. Jung warned that unless a man breaks from the mother archetype, unless he willingly embraces discomfort, separation, and transformation, he will remain dependent and fragmented. The man-child seeks a life of security, but ironically, ends up with a life of emptiness. He is haunted by an unconscious truth that he was born for more, not for safety, but for struggle, not for passive pleasure, but for purposeful pursuit. When a man decides to grow, he must willingly let the boy inside him die, not with shame, but with ceremony. Only then can he rise, integrated, with a sense of who he truly is. 3. Masturbation as a symbol. Escapism versus self-mastery. Let's be clear, masturbation in itself is not evil. Even Jung acknowledged the biological and psychological realities of human desire. But when it becomes compulsive, when it's used to avoid reality, it ceases to be pleasure and becomes pathology. The act becomes a substitute for life, intimacy, vulnerability. Masturbation, especially when paired with pornography, becomes a ritual of avoidance. Men unconsciously choose the predictable satisfaction of the screen over the real-life challenges of love, leadership, and creativity. It becomes a cycle: stimulus, release, guilt, a spiritual loop that feeds the man-child. Philosophers like Plato warned of enslavement to desires. In the Republic, he spoke of the tyrannical soul, ruled by passions, unable to govern itself. Jung would agree, to master yourself you must not be a slave to your appetites. Use your energy consciously. Rechannel your sexual force into purpose, into creation, into growth. 4. Individuation. Becoming a whole man. Jung's greatest contribution wasn't about mental illness, it was about individuation. This is the lifelong process of becoming a complete human being by integrating the conscious with the unconscious, the light with the dark. To individuate is to own your masculinity, your sexuality, your rage, your fears, not to suppress them, but to understand and channel them. The modern man often fragments himself. He's one person at work, another with friends, another in private. He wears masks. Individuation means tearing off those masks and facing the truth beneath them. It means becoming authentic, even if it's painful. This is the real initiation into manhood, not physical strength, not status, but wholeness. Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, but it's also the most liberating. This is how a boy becomes a man, not by denying his flaws, but by integrating them into his wisdom." 5. Ancient philosophy and the modern male soul. Our ancestors knew this path well. In Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build your life action by action." He didn't avoid emotion, he transcended it. In Eastern philosophy, the Taoist sages spoke of internal alchemy, transforming base energy into spiritual clarity. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, "You have a right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions." These are not old words. They are blueprints for the modern man. If you cannot master your impulses, someone else will. Algorithms, corporations, distractions. The fight is not just against porn or laziness. It is against powerlessness. Modern philosophy rarely speaks to men about virtue, about living for something bigger than yourself. The man-child avoids death, avoids pain, avoids sacrifice. But the philosophical man embraces it, knowing that life's meaning is often buried beneath suffering, not above it. 6. From fragmentation to fire, the rise of the integrated man. The final stage of Jung's map is not analysis, it's alchemy. It's what happens when a man takes his broken pieces and forges them into something whole. The modern man is fragmented. One part seeks discipline, another craves indulgence. One voice says, step up, another says, lie down. He is a battleground of opposing impulses, and in this fragmentation he suffers, not because he is weak, but because he is divided. But the good news is this: the very forces that divide you can be the fuel that transforms you. Jung didn't just want men to understand their shadow, he wanted them to integrate it. Integration doesn't mean erasing the darkness, it means making peace with it. It means knowing your lust, your rage, your fear, and choosing to channel them with consciousness. Your sexual energy, for example, is not a curse to repress. It's a sacred fire. If wasted, it burns your life down. If refined, it powers your purpose. Great artists, warriors, and visionaries throughout history weren't free from desire. They simply mastered it. So what does the integrated man look like? He's not perfect. He still struggles. But he's awake. He doesn't hide from discomfort. He steps into it. He doesn't rely on external validation. He lives from internal alignment. He doesn't abuse pleasure. He earns it. He's aware of his shadow, but he doesn't let it rule his life. He has become a whole man, not just a boy pretending. This transformation isn't overnight, it's a path. But it begins with a single choice: to stop running and start becoming. Conclusion: a call to confrontation, the path back to yourself. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just about masturbation, porn, or dopamine. It's about you, your identity, your strength, your sovereignty. The world doesn't need more comfort-seeking boys. It needs men who are awake. Men who've looked into the pit of their own shadow and decided, I won't run anymore. Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, but that privilege requires confrontation. It means shedding illusions, facing your addictions, not with shame, but with curiosity. Choosing structure over chaos, discipline over compulsion, meaning over numbness. You're not powerless. You're not too far gone. You're not broken. You are becoming. And the parts of you that feel lost, they are the map. They are the trail back to yourself. So here's the challenge. Tonight, don't scroll. Don't escape. Sit with your thoughts. Journal your truths. Ask yourself honestly, am I becoming a man of virtue or a boy lost in comfort? If you're ready to walk the path of the integrated man, you're not alone. This channel is for you. This community is for you. Subscribe. Share this video. Pass the fire to a brother who needs it. Because the world doesn't just need men who look strong. It needs men who've earned their strength from the inside out.